happening. What did you do, really unpack even deeper? What does that actually look like? What does that mean? Why do you believe that you were lucky instead of you created that?
Well, that's what I was going to say, because that seems not to criticize your dad, but it seems like you didn't get lucky 7 times. You had an opportunity, and you took advantage of it, and that probably came with a lot of work before the opportunity was presented to you, as well as a lot of work that was required after you took on the opportunity. That lucky part, it seems to me, in my own worldview, minimizes too much the hard work and the ethics your dad probably had and the integrity to make those endeavors successful. So that's a curious thing.
Yeah.
I guess my worldview is that you do have more control over your destiny, and if somebody gets lucky once, like they win the lotto, or they get lucky and they're the 3rd employee at Amazon, all right, there's some luck involved in there, but 7 times, you might have something to do with that.
Right? And that's, when you're a child, you sort of take these things in, and as I've grown and had to look at my own story, that's exactly what you said is what I've come up with. Like, no, it was his hard work. It was his integrity. It was, that he was willing to go above and beyond and do what it needed, do what he needed to do to make himself the person who could do that next position.
Sure. I think one of my favorite quotes, and I'm a little bit of a quote junkie, but one of my favorite quotes is that, I think I'm going to say this right, but luck is when opportunity meets preparedness. Yes, I love that one. Is that Vince Lombardi? I heard it from Earl Nightingale, who was, self-help guru a couple of generations ago. Yeah. Part of the Nightingale Conant organization. So I would attribute it to him, but he probably stole it from somebody else. But that predates Lombardi. Yeah. So that's probably where it came from. Yeah. So I imagine when you meet with people and you begin coaching with them, you want to find out what their money stories are. Is that right? Yeah, and most people come, they just take it's free download guide on my website, and they, they can find out they can identify their story, because the thing is, it becomes really easy. Like most people, oh yeah, that's me. I'm survival. Like I'm always at the end. I don't know how much money is in my bank account. I just, like if I have it, I spend it, and then I go figure it out, if I don't have it. And so they can identify that pretty quickly. If it's just enough, they're like, oh yeah, there's never enough for extra. The money hot messes always identify themselves just by the name, because that's actually how I named that story. Is I had client after client they were like, oh yeah, I used to be a money hot mess. And I'm like, oh, that's your story. Got it. And so the same with chasers, if there's somebody who has a million business ideas, or starting, has joined like more than 4 MLMs, or, always has this great idea and their family's tired of hearing about it, that's generally a money chaser. Okay. And what would you say, would you be able to say, let me ask it that way, would you be able to say that there's a common money story that you see a lot that's really harmful to the individual, that holds them back from having success, whether that's career, financial, relationship? Is there anything you could point to? Like, is there one particular story that holds them back? Like a common story that you would say, boy, people that have this story are going to have a hard time achieving financial success and success in other arenas. That may not be an appropriate way to look at it. So I would say, I just wanted to clarify your question. All of the money stories I've identified, they don't lend for total success. Because they keep playing out with the same situation. So there's people that I know, and it plays out at, $300, and I've heard people go, oh yeah, my brother's he's a chaser, or I'm trying to think what she said, but she's like, he'll lose $3 million. He'll go build a business and then he'll lose $3 million. And so all the stories in themselves that I've identified, don't lend to ultimate success, and they do play out in other areas of life. So they
they seep over. I always say when you change your money story, everything changes, because as you start to become more aware and you write a new story that you want to be true, a lot of other things in your life start naturally changing.
Beautiful. So without giving away all of your secrets, because we don't want to do that, but could you give us a sense of some of the best ways for someone to change their money story, or perhaps how you can help cultivate your clients to change their money stories to improve outcomes for them?
Absolutely. So always, so often people want to change their financial situation by saying, okay, I want to get to here, and kind of come up with it's like they come up with a goal or they come up with this, but they don't often know why. So, and I think that the best money stories you change when you go after something. So that's why it's Manifest 10,000, because as we put that $10,000 spot out there, we say, this is what we want. We want to attract $10,000 in your life. The first thing to do is get clear about what you're going to do with that. So many people I've heard over the years, thousands of people have gone through the course. I just want more money. Well, what do you want it for? So I can do whatever I want. Awesome. What do you want to do? Like, what are those specific things? Get specific about what you want, because a couple things start happening in your mind. Your mind will get on board to help you find ways to get what you want now. Like, we put things, if it's a trip, we're like, oh, I'll never be able to take that trip because it's so expensive. But if we actually say, I want that trip, it's going to be $4,000. Your brain will start helping you save for that because it knows what it's doing. This is what we're doing. We're not just putting a pile of money away.
Sure.
So getting that clarity.
I'm sorry to talk over you. It kind of relates to that popular book, Start With Why. That you have to define what your why is.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, your mind will help you figure out how you could achieve that, but you have to define the why. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
And people don't often do that with money, I've found.
Yeah, they just want more money or more income or more wealth in the abstract, but not tie it to what that would mean for them or their family, their children, or being able to give more money generously, or to be able to retire early, whatever their definition of retire is. So that's a great approach, and I would endorse that 100%. So you have this course, again, not giving away all of your secrets, Cassie, but you have strategies for manifesting money. So this Manifest $10,000 course, because of time limitations, we're not going to be able to go into it in the greatest amount of detail, but can you just give an overview of some of the strategies?
Yeah. So one is getting clear. We covered that. It's really tapping into who you'll be. So when you have $10,000 more dollars, because if you have $10,000 in your bank account versus 500, you think differently. You make different choices. You look at the world differently. You're thinking about different things. If you only have 500, you might be thinking, oh, how am I going to make rent? If you have 10,000, you're thinking, oh, okay, where am I going to invest? And just that difference in the way working your brain differently, again, opens up space and helps you get to that place that you want to be. It just things start popping up. So getting clear, little things to evaluate along the way how you feel about money. We also do a lot with, okay, how are you going to feel when you have $10,000? And we go to work activating that on a daily basis. So if you're going to feel happy, we got to find a way to activate happy in your life way more often, so that you can get there faster. We look at one of the favorite exercises is I have people take a penny and $100 bill if they can get one, or the biggest denomination, and just look at both of them and notice the thoughts and beliefs that come up about that. And it's super powerful because it really tells us what's in the back of our mind. What do I think? Do I see all money as valuable? Am I scared of $100, but I'm okay with a penny? Or do I always feel like a penny is not enough, even though, 100 pennies equals $1, $100 equals $100, and so forth. So that's a really powerful one. We celebrate all money that comes in. Everybody has a money manifested log. In fact, last night we just did our celebration photo shoot. Just had another client go over 100K manifested, so they write everything down. Any money that comes in, they find a penny on the ground, they write that down. They get a new client, they write that down.
That's awesome.
So really keeping track of all the money that flows in, because we're so good at keeping track of what flows out. But often we're not appreciating what comes in. You know, most people direct deposit these days don't even acknowledge, okay, I got paid on the 1st. That's awesome. Like money went into my account, right? They're already thinking about what's going out.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that's good stuff. That's really good. So I want to switch gears a little bit. And so listeners, if you could appreciate this, Cassie and I corresponded through email, and we didn't really know each other. We were connected, as I said at the top of the show, by a mutual connection. And I sent just a little outline of, you know, here's what I'd like to talk about on the show. And much of it corresponds to what she and I just went through. But my final question was, and I'm going to read right from my notes, question number 7 was, the FIRE movement, F-I-R-E. The FIRE movement seems to be gaining in popularity. Any thoughts on FIRE? So FIRE stands for Financial Independence, I can't even speak, Financial Independence Retire Early Movement. And so I've listened to some podcasts and read some articles and reviewed some websites about this movement, and it's kind of caught my attention. It really ties into my role as a certified financial planner, helping my clients win with money and achieving their financial goals and objectives. It also speaks to me because I'm on my own wealth-building financial journey. I have goals that I want to achieve for myself as well as for my wife Joelle and I, and we have plans for our 2 children. So this has been a recent journey for me with this FIRE movement. And so I asked her about the show before we started recording. I know this is a long wind-up, but I asked her about this before we started recording, just quick. I said, what about the FIRE movement? And Cassie, what did you say?
I said I had to look it up because I was like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, which surprises me because you are the prototypical FIRE enthusiast, if you will, because you created wealth for yourself, created passive income, structured your financial life as well as your lifestyle so that you could leave the corporate world, retire at 32, start your own business, and you're exactly what that movement, the people that are plugged into this movement are often seeking what you've already accomplished. Mm-hmm. So any thoughts on the FIRE movement now that you've gotten introduced to it?
I love it. I mean, I love that concept, and I love it from what I do, and because money is money and it's awesome, but it's really when we use it, we can create this experience for ourselves. And so for me, that's what the FIRE movement, when I did my research on it, seemed like and touched my heart because that's what I wanted. I wanted just choice and freedom, and I wanted to choose. And I think, I don't know where it comes from, but often we get this I don't know, there was this old path maybe, I don't know what it is, but where we create this big and it's about the bigger house and the bigger this and the bigger car and this other thing. And what this is really about is about freedom to me when I read it. And you can have all those things in addition. And I think it's all about the choice, like we talked about in the beginning of, do you want more freedom or do you want a bigger house? And both are awesome choices. But I love that there's this movement that's embracing the other side.
Yeah, that's very well said. If you were really plugged into the movement, one of the things that I wanted to explore, and let me get your thoughts on it anyway, is that there's different parts of this movement, if you will, and part of it is building wealth, much like you talk about with the Manifest $10,000, and more is part of it. And I think we could agree that could be overboard. If you just chase the almighty dollar, you might not have a happy, fulfilled, balanced life. But I tell you, one part of the FIRE movement that does not resonate with me, and I've been in a few Facebook pages, and like I said, really focuses on, narrowing your budget. And it's almost like the, how to pinch pennies kind of movement.
Oh. Yeah, no.
And granted, some of that is good, right? Because if somebody, let's say, goes out and eats out lunch every day and spends $10, $15, $20, in certain situations that may be holding you back from achieving some financial goals, at least temporarily, because you could pack a lunch for much less money. I mean, there's something to be said about that. But what doesn't resonate with me in the FIRE movement is living a penny pinching lifestyle. That's my term. But what are your thoughts on that when you think about financial independence? How much of it is,